got the chance to practice. Even if there is no one dumber, if you're the planet's biggest dunce, you can't repeat the class in summer. This course is only offered once. No day copies yesterday. No 2 nights will teach what bliss is in precisely the same way, with exactly the same kisses. For one day, perhaps, some idle tongue mentions your name by accident. I feel as if a rose were flung into the room, all hue and scent. The next day, though you're here with me, I can't help looking at the clock. A rose? A rose? What could that be? Is it a flower or a rock? Why do we treat the fleeting day with so much needless fear and sorrow? It's in its nature not to stay. Today is always gone tomorrow. With smiles and kisses, we prefer to seek a chord beneath our star. Although we're different, we concur, just as 2 drops of water are.
Wow, bravo.
Yeah.
She sees the miraculous in every little thing. Uniqueness, I guess.
She has a very short poem that I brought with me because I like it so much. May I read it now?
Yes.
It's called, well, we're ready for your own original poem now.
Oh, I don't have one.
Well, you brought it on.
I don't. I just couldn't. And somehow.
You're too busy
Did
with
not come.
that poet, no, laureate.
Yes. It was almost here, though.
Well, if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind going first, because I'm going to have to leave early. I'm gonna make sure, unless you want to go this way, I'm okay with that.
Well, whatever.
Here.
Just go ahead and start.
Let's
Go
go. That's
clockwise.
Mine's very short. I was feeling a need to amuse myself. This is called Looking for You. Whoops.
Copies, we want copies.
Yeah.
Yes, I
It's a
did.
little hard to read them from here.
Yeah. That's why I needed to.
Is that your
That's
title?
not very long, I mean, that's not very short.
Oh, good enough, thank you. Oh, actually, there's one more.
No, I made 12 copies, so there should be plenty.
Yeah, there's an extra too.
Oh,
Two
Dan.
extras. Oops, sorry.
That's up to Nan. She can get one of those.
Nan, do you have one?
Yes, yes.
It's called Look Before You Scratch. One autumn evening in an alley nearby sat a very large cat scratching himself while he gazed at the sky. A rustle of wood, now what could that be? Right before his eyes, a giant Hulk blowing on lumber he could barely see. What happened next is hard to describe. The lumber fell on the springs of a giant mattress just to the side. An enchanted frog who was taking a nap there leaped from his mattress, quite becked, searching the scene with a glare. The frog leaped from the mattress to lumber pile to giant thin cat, which promptly ate him and then filled with bile. The giant tripped on the cat, who was too full to wiggle. So listen carefully to this woeful tale. A scratching cat can land you in a pickle.
Was this inspired by anything in real life?
No, this was actually, I was going through some files. I've been going through lots of files lately, and I came across this scrap of paper that I had put in there where I had actually had the idea for it years ago, but I never did anything with it.
Aww.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
So,
You resuscitated it.
Very good.
okay.
I
I love the feelings that are in here. I mean, the sensations, let's put it that way, the sensations of the wood and the cat, of course, and the frog. You can actually feel some of these things as you're describing them. I love it.
Thank you. I had great fun doing it.
Yeah.
I love the word piggle.
Yes.
Very well.
I was sort of picking up on our poet for today. I pronounce her name again.
I think Wisława Szymborska.
Szymborska. I'm Polish and I should know this. I'm going to say these things. I like particularly the one about it doesn't happen twice or nothing twice. And so sort of picked up on that a little bit. With two poems. I've got one on the front and one on the back. So I'll do the frets and worries first.
Thank you.
Thank you. You fret and you worry, ask the why and the how, but what's all the hurry? You're here, and it's now. You set up your schemes, the shoulds and the oughts, but all's not what it seems. Such plans are for naught. For life's like a river, it moves and it flows. Whether taker or giver, you go where it goes. So relax and let go, there's nothing to fear. Awake and you'll know, it's now and you're here.
I love it.
Yeah?
Taking off on Joe's River theme.
Exactly.
Well, it's the combination of Szymborska and me, you know.
The two together.
Right.
An inspiration. That's marvelous.
Yeah.
And the second one is being here. What is to come may never be, and who I was is not now me. Future times are never here, the past is gone, 'tis not to fear. So that which is what we see, and what will be, well, it'll be. And longing, wishing, hoping for is wasting lives and killing more. I cannot be what I am not, for what I am is all I've got.
That's great.
That's excellent.
Very good, yeah.
Nice. Had a very
Definitely.
light touch.
Yeah.
To some
Yeah.
heavy-duty subjects.
And what will be.
You're doing a bit of soul searching.
I am doing a lot of stuff.
Then you want somebody to
I've
point
just-
the
just,
camera at you while you do yours?
There was I remember I'm reminded of the to be or not to be, that is the question. That's the
Yeah.
Shakespeare line, of course.
Sure.
And to be in not to be, that is the answer.
Say it
Oh,
again.
that's right.
Please say that again.
To be or not to be, that is the question. To be in not to be, that's the answer.
Wow.
You know, it's unfortunate, but we could, you know, when you ask who, we can apply this to a lot of people, unfortunately.
Yeah,
You know.
that's
who-
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who, you know, just are drained of both reason and pity and morphed into headhunters. You know, it's sad, but it's true that
Who's the leftover?
I'm reminded again of the Szymborska poem about war. You know, it's how much have we have seen of this, people being morphed into headhunters.
Well, I think we ourselves,
Yeah.
this country has morphed into headhunters.
Exactly.
Right. You sit in a room and send a bomb
know.
across the ocean and it blows up a village. Oh.
Or we kill right here on our own streets,
Yes.
you know.
Well, I thought, we were horrified by the decapitations and all that, but how did Marie Antoinette die? How did Mary Queen of Scots die? How did Anne Boleyn die? They were beheaded, and by what we like to think of as our civilized forebears. And it's just, I keep thinking that Islam is about 400 years younger than Christianity. And go back 400 years in our history, and we're pretty much where they are now.
Yeah.
We need to give them a chance to grow up.
Christianity does not have a very good track record.
Well, how about the auto de fe? Or, you know, they.
If you want to get into a discussion about Christianity, I would be more than happy to do that, but I don't think that's where you want to go.
I'm discussing our being horrified by things that we have done ourselves, and how unjust our horrification, if that's a word, is.
There are different estimates, and I don't think anybody has the exact number. But the point is that the Muslims would have to go on this savagery and this brutal killing and this idiocy that they are engaged in for many, many decades.
Take you to a very different place, that's for sure.
Good.
Ode to a Poem. And by the way, the flip side is, I tried it for the first time to do it on two sides, and I got it. I got it.
That's okay.
Close. Yeah,
That's
it works.
okay.
Yeah, I do that almost.
Actually, for this size, you could do them both on the same side of the page, just do it 2 columns.
I don't like that.
You don't like
Okay.
that? Okay.
It helps if it's late, after the midnight hour, the house all quiet, a willing, complicit mate, for coaxing that reluctant flower into a small, controlled riot. You need an idea to start, or a word, a phrase that sparks, even a bit of a tune, not just one that farts. More like a lark than a bark. Write a few lines, and you're over the moon. In love with your own puzzle. Those words, those rhymes, you laugh, you pine. You'd rather be a mime. Someone quick, put on a muzzle. But first, oh, be mine, sweet Valentine. You elusive, slippery thing. I adore your charms, your wit, your search for truth and beauty. At best, you're a gem, not bling, a star, not a twit. Heartfelt, sincere, a real cutie, more than duty. So come to me then, let your wisdom bloom. In that way, spare words reveal all that gorgeous mystery, so serendipitously in one poignant moment of poetry. And then I wrote, in the quiet of night, after the warm washcloth, all the brushing, that cat of a poem appears. Oh. I think that was the best one.
Sometimes brevity is better than I like both of them. I think they're
There are
great.
a lot of cat images to
And do you know my cat went missing over Thanksgiving because my
Aw.
daughter and her fiance arrived with his dog and her cat, and my cat just bolted from the
Abdicated,
house.
right?
Yes. And I thought I've lost her forever, and she came back this morning, just as I was walking out of the house.
And she'd been gone how long?
Aw.
For 3 nights.
Yeah.
But she's in case in the joint. Are they still there, or have they left?
They left.
Well, she
Yeah.
was hanging around next door, and she said, okay, the schools are going.
Safe to go back, right?
Wow.
I love the rhyme scheme here. I mean, it's
I do
one
too.
that first of all, I can't figure it out, but that's great. I'm caught up in the rhymes wherever they are. You know, you have rhymes within lines, you have rhymes over,
Well,
multiple lines. It's really great.
Yeah, generally it's ABC and then ABC. But until the 3rd stanza when I just did
I know, it's cool.
whatever I wanted to.
That's a perfect ode to a poem.
To the rhyme in the last verse, it seems to, we're You're out of rhymes. You've used them all up.
I abandoned it. I thought, this is stupid. I should stop this rhyming silliness.
But that's what's so great about it. I think it's great. It's very playful, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, you're sweet.
Anything goes.
Did we hear from Sven and Joy?
They're not coming.
Pardon?
And
They're not
that,
coming.
Joy
Joy
is
is having
ill.
some medical issues.
She had,
Yeah.
remember, at Thanksgiving, she had a sore arm, swollen and hand, something, she's having all kinds of tests and stuff.
Oh. Sorry to hear it.
She
Yeah.
was
well,
out of commission then.
everybody have a copy of Thanksgiving leftovers.
We haven't left this now.
I'm in recovery because all of my children came to see me over the
Aw.
Thanksgiving break, and I think I had 3 Thanksgiving dinners one day after another, but,
Aw,
and it was
that's
marvelous, and I enjoyed it. But anyway, led me to think that I should give some thought to Thanksgiving leftovers, which my refrigerator is full of. Thanksgiving leftovers.
Wait a minute, did you pass them out?
Yeah, did you not get one?
Oh, did I?
A little, okay, enough for all.
I-
By the way, I continue my fascination with the meter of iambic tetrameter. So every one of these lines has 4 beats, like a heartbeat, da 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 da. So, yeah, and it's fun to try to keep that meter in the poem. The family feast is over now. The holiday has come and gone. My raucous clan dispersed again. How quiet and empty is my house. We stuffed ourselves with tasty treats. My fridge is full of surplus foods, leftovers for at least a month. I cannot eat another thing. A lonely slice of pie remains, and I just ate one more big bite. I'll try to diet all next week.
Right.
Will joy and gladness come again? Left over to our memories, they linger kindly in my brain. A very happy man I am. I'm glad one leftover is me.
That's great.
Very cute.
That's great.
Always fun to have
No disclaimer for
family
that.
gather.
No disclaimer for that one.
No
You-
disclaimer.
You captured it very nicely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Ooh, you were busy.
I was busy.
Although, when I was reading ahead a little bit, I thought you had written leftovers to our memories.
Leftover, leftover also, I could have put our memories, I probably should have said leftover also.
Wow, you were really busy.
Wow, Joe, she's right on the edges. It's all-
I tried.
I get
You're
my opinion.
constitutionally unable to write a short form.
I guess you're right. And this one is the longest yet, but 4 pages.
4 pages?
Well, it became 4 columns in 2 pages, but it's what it is, 4 pages.
Marianne, you need to pass it down to me.
Well, I'm trying to figure out where
For the
4
4
pages
pages.
are.
No, it's 4 columns.
Writing a novel, Joe?
Well, it's more a tragedy than a novel, but you'll find out. But it's something that has been on my mind for quite a while, is the relationship between memory and place. And some of the things became even more acute in my consciousness as I spent a couple of weeks back in my hometown, my home country, just a few weeks ago, and that's relationship between memory and place. And as I was reading this, all kinds of things began to appear. For example, this past Sunday in the New York Times, there was this article on remembering the Sand Creek massacre. And I had already, in an earlier draft, written something about American Indians and massacres, and I thought, well, why do something more abstract when there is something very concrete right here? And then I run into something in my files, which I haven't seen in a while, and it's one of my most admired writers and thinkers, and that's Edward Said. And he has this article on invention, memory, and place, speaking a lot about Israel and Palestine and the Palestinians and what the place means to them. And so finally I started writing and I couldn't stop. And here it is, memory and place. Let's explore the jungle of the mind and dissect a universe of complexity. Let's read the Book of Memory. It's a tome written long ago in a precise place and time, remembered, reconnected, rewired, reimagined, regenerated, reinvented. We may return to the place where we had been or others were before we were born and told us the stories we know. Returning to a place may bring back memories we may have erased. It may give us a sense of place, maybe even time, and a fresh understanding. But do we really remember, or do we recreate or create? Are memories a record of events stored in our minds, perhaps our collective recollection, or just stories we have devised? And if memory and place are connected, what happens when you lose that place? What happens to the exiles, those displaced by wars or disasters, or whose homes have been repossessed, the victims of fires, tsunamis, or cyclones? If you lose your home, do you lose your memories too? What ensues when the place is also a site of suffering or loss? Do we remember? Do we want to remember? Do we need to forget? And how? What occurs if we have already forgotten but return to where memories were born? What is more authentic? The memory of a place or the place itself? The memory of an event or the event itself? Robben Island is a place, and the memory speaks of apartheid, inhumanity, injustice, and racism. But it also gave us Nelson Mandela, Oliver Tambo, and other freedom fighters, and through them the memory of a place of horror resonates with hope, progress, and liberation. What do the descendants of the Cheyenne and Arapaho massacred at Sand Creek on November 29, 1864 recall? What do the progeny of the army generals responsible for the massacre remember? What do they feel? Do they feel proud that cities, monuments, plaques, and even 2 universities honor the memory of Edward Connor and John Evans? Strange honor when a general is celebrated for conquests and a massacre is forgotten. What do the Navajo remember of the long march endured by their ancestors 150 years ago? What do the descendants of great empires, the Aztecs, the Mayas, the Incas, and many other American indigenous nations remember? The squalor in which most Native Americans live today, whether in the north or south of the continent, in the mountains or the jungles, in crowded cities or isolated villages, or in reservations, tell us that what they remember must be loss, subjugation, poverty, and despair. Their European conquerors are rich, and their wealth is built upon the misery of the original owners of the land. Their land is the place they lost, and every day they can see the thieves. Their memory is a tale of suffering. Remembering that their ancestors were kings does not diminish their anguish, it augments it. We also know the killing fields and the gas chambers of the Shoah. But what is the memory of the deeds and the memory of the place? Or the memories of those who perished? We are now their memories, not just their offspring, but all of us who remember, who know, who pledge never to forget. How do our memories connect with the place? Is the place an idea, an abstraction, a concept? If it is, how dissimilar is it from the place? The gas chambers, the furnaces, the ditches. Do we capture the experience of the child being torn from her mother's arms? Or the horror of the last sound to be heard being that of a rifle shot aimed at the heart? Do our memories represent the place or the experience of those who perished, or our construction of their place and their memory? And there are the assassins of memory, those who deny the events of a place and time because they do not like the truths they tell. The Holocaust deniers and those who want a child to forget a horrible abuse. There are the expungers of memory too, who destroy a memory by retelling the story. The historians and journalists more interested in pleasing a master than telling the truth, who make the theft of memories a profession and tell victims and mourners that things were not as they remember them, as they experienced them, but as the newly crafted story pretends. Memory and its expressions is deeply connected with our identity and our most intimate sentiments. Collectively, memory is expressed as history, which is not a neutral account of events, but a chronicle written by someone with a purpose. Behind histories, a nationalist agenda often lurks, seeking to build loyalty to an idea, to leaders, to institutions. History glorifies the deeds of accepted heroes, while ignoring the struggles of the powerless. History does not exalt the railroad builders, the farmers, the miners, the laborers who sweat to get their work done and whose effort generates the wealth that others enjoy. So, do we know how to read the Book of Memory? If we learn, we will finally know ourselves, and this will change us forever.
Oh, there's so much in that.
Yeah.
So much.
You ask all the right questions, that's for sure.
But I have the answer.
Yeah, it's like a philosophic tract, and it's really
Yeah.
it's heavy duty. Some wonderful phrases in there. I love assassins of memory and theft of
Yeah.
memories. But it does raise the question whether there is an authentic memory at all, because memories do get reconstructed without anybody trying to manipulate us. We manipulate them ourselves to make them pleasant. So we remember them fondly usually, or sometimes we exaggerate a bad thing and make it even worse. So I know a lot of work has been done by psychologists about this. I wish Sven were here; he would tell us what the professionals think about it. But of memories being invented. And often we see a photo of ourselves when we were a child, and then later on someone asks you and you say, well, I remember wearing a blue suit and having a toy, whatever, a pet, when you don't remember it at all. It's a photograph that planted a memory that is not real. So I don't know what to think about memory. I don't know whether to trust my own memory. You are remembering fondly Catalonia, aren't you?
And painfully.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of war and destruction and injustice.
Are you guilty, as I am often, of when I have memories of inflating it or embellishing it and making it grander than it was? Is the Catalonia you love in your heart the Catalonia that it really exists?
Not the one I remembered when during the first years of exile, especially I was growing older, and my experience of my home country was becoming more a memory than an experience.
Yeah.
Then once I finally was able to go back and then visit again and again, which I've been doing, then again, that connection between memory and place. Once I'm back in the place, I can stop idealizing something that I lost and being a little more realistic about what's there and even my own childhood.
It's interesting if you have a number of siblings to speak of some event that
Yes.
affected the whole family. Remember when we did such and such and so and so, and they all go viral.
Yeah, we didn't do that.
Which is a good point because my sister, who's 3 years younger than me, first of all, as children of our time and place, we led very different lives. She was very sheltered, went to a religious school, and was very protected, and very much isolated from the things that were happening in our environment. I didn't go to a religious school, but a school that was more politically engaged and committed, and opposed to the government, and I was having very different experiences. So we tried to remember the same things. And it's interesting, you know, at first it would be a discussion like, but no, that's not the way it was. Until we finally realized that each one has his or her own memory.
Yeah.
And that's fine because our experiences of the same place and the same time were different.
Yeah, and we don't even grow up in the same family.
That's right.
Because I had 2 older sisters and an older brother and a younger brother. My sister Marjorie had a younger sister and brother and an older sister and brother. Elizabeth had all of us below her. And, you know, it's a whole different environment for each of us.
Right, and
Yeah.
I had a brother that was 8 years older than I, and a sister that was 10 years younger.
Mhm.
So there was definitely 3
Oh,
different.
yeah.
Right.
Plus, your parents are different at different times.
Yes.
Very much so.
I like the relationship between location and memory. I think that's really significant. And it isn't just the location, the physical location here, but the location within us.
Yes.
You know, a pianist would say that I have memory in my hands. That when, you know, I don't, you know, the memory of here is gone, it's all here. I'm thinking of my brother-in-law. I have a couple people in my family who were in the Vietnam War, and his memory really, literally, is in his body. You know, he won't talk about the events of the war, but they're in his body, and you can see them and you can feel them when you
Well,
talk
I think
with them.
that's I think really very true. I think anybody, Mariana, I know, plays piano, and a lot of memory is kinetic. Your fingers remember it, but if you
Exactly.
stop, you
Exactly.
and think about it too
When you-
much, you
yeah,
can't
exactly.
play the.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And that's something really interesting you just mentioned, and touches me very directly, because when I was 10 years old, I was engaging in some acts of sabotage. I suppose that's the way to put it. And doing one of them, which was slashing tires of the secret police cars parked in a parking lot, I was caught and arrested and taken to jail. And my memory of that event is very physical. The first thing that I remember is 2 black boots right next to me, and that image is always with me.
Did they kick
10
you?
years old.
Pardon me?
Did they kick you?
No, they hit me with their hands.
Well, you mean when you were down slashing the tire and then there were...
Right when they picked me up, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
first thing they
yeah.
did was slap me. And
Were you with other kids?
no, well, there was another kid that was nearby, but he was able to run away.
There's a wonderful connection of the topic of memory with poetry, because if you remember your Greek mythology, the Demosthenes, the mother of all 9 of the muses, was the goddess of memory. And she's without memory, you cannot have any of the arts, including poetry, music, and all of the other things. And from her name comes mnemonic device, Demosthenes.
Yes, and related to that, we remember things when we put them into poetry or rhyme or
That
song.
may have been the origin of poetry, as
Yeah.
a trick to remember our histories.
Exactly.
Well, one of the things that writing this helped me a lot was the fact that this semester, Adriana, and you heard the story on Thursday, Sunday when we were having dinner at lunch. Adriana has a background in clinical psychology, but then she moved away from that and went to humanistic psychology. But she's always been interested in cognitive psychology. And this semester, she's sitting in a class, and and taking this class on cognitive psychology and neuroscience. And one of the topics is memory. So obviously we had some really interesting conversations about
It was fascinating conversation. One of the guests at this dinner party was some dear friends of mine, Dick and Wally Ball. Maybe some of you know them. They grew up in the war under the Hitler regime. Dick was in the Hitler Youth. Wally's brother died on the German side of the Normandy invasion. And our discussion, I don't know how we got to this topic, but was about memory. And Dick Ball said he remembers as a child a memory something like yours, that his family was freezing to death. They didn't have enough food, and they didn't have even any coal or firewood, so that he would sneak out to where the American soldiers, I guess it was Seabees or something, were building a bridge across the river. And he said he single-handedly felt he sabotaged that bridge because, not because he wanted to sabotage the bridge, but he would steal the lumber to bring home to his mom and dad so they could warm their house because it was cold, it was wintertime.
Yeah.
Sometimes memories are wonderful. They pop into your brain in the most unusual times. And as we get older, we lose our memory.
Mm-hmm.
But there are pluses. I always make new friends. Glad to be good today.
But sometimes old memories pop up.
Yeah.
Too, I mean, I've had that lately, a lot of that. Sometimes it wakes me up in the middle of the night, you know, when I think about something I haven't thought about in years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of like that. The poem that I did, I mean, I had totally forgotten about that little scrap of paper that I didn't even know I still had it.
Yeah.
But
And smells can do that. They
Oh,
can
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
certain memories suddenly.
Yeah.
That's a very powerful reminder, smells.
Yes.
They've
yes.
said that smell is the strongest one for bringing back memories.
Yeah,
I don't know whether any of you heard the NPR interview that Diane Rehm had with, I think it was, her name is Ellen Langer, a Harvard professor who deals with mind and health, actually. And she did a study in which she took very elderly people that were, quote, losing their memory, and put them into a situation that was from time ago. You know, everything around them was of, say, 30 years ago. The newspapers in front of them, the kinds of food, whatever they could do. And they started talking in the present, and instead of, well, that was, we did that long ago, rather we did that now. And she emphasized that. Well, when they started doing that, their memories, lots of their memory was improved. And so,
Wow.
you know, maybe, it was very interesting
Yeah.
that maybe we need to, I guess that goes back to what I was saying before about being in the present, that we sometimes we talk about we're losing our memory, but maybe we're not. You know, maybe
It's there.
maybe we just say that as we get older. Oh, old people lose their memory. Well, maybe not. You know, just a thought.
I think we sort of overload it. We pile new things on top and it gets compressed down there and we need some kind of release.
Yeah.
Until, as Marianne says, something from underneath jumps up.
so, yeah.
Well, Sigmund Freud, of course, famously wrote about memory and that we repress memories, and that psychotherapy is a way in which you recover those memories, the things that you've forgotten, because you want to forget them, and or maybe it's therapeutically necessary for you to forget them if you've been horribly abused or something. You might not heal until you've put it way in the back of your mind. Fascinating topic, Jody. You've opened the.
Thank you.
You opened the spigot.
Yes, you opened the door.
So let's close the door. We'll go to something else.
Okay.
Something else.
This is a work in progress. The impetus for this is not even in it yet. It kind of went around like this. So I know I have more than enough copies. There'll be extras. And I think it's interesting, time-wise, a couple of things that happened that relate to the poem itself that is in the process. And I'll share that with you. 4 seasons versus 2 or so. In the USA and a number of other countries, we mark time with seasons. Why do they happen? How? Do you know any of the reasons? What makes the seasons in nature? Why do some places have 4 while others have less? Can you imagine the world if there was a shift in seasons? We would have a big mess. Actually, some scientists state there is a change. A number speak of global warming. Another source proclaims a time that we cannot tell one season from another is forming. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. Where do they originate? Where do they go? What occurs during each season is a huge show. Children would probably name summer as their favorite. For them it is freedom. Days of play, no homework, not using their wit. While their parents, especially mom, may favor fall when school starts. For many moms, autumn marks their freedom. It is so good for their hearts. A quote, "Now in Beijing it is winter season. It's very cold. I think your country is the same season, same cold too." Dear Jackie, cold in the USA, at least here, cannot compare to Beijing. Our lips never turn blue. However, spring, summer, autumn, winter are not the only seasons that exist. We can talk about there being a season of, or for something. It is quite a list. There are more than 19 forms, definitions, expressions, or usages of the word season, i.e., a period of the year immediately before and after a special holiday or occasion. The example given, the Christmas season. To be continued. The impetus for this is, having spent 5 winters and summers in Beijing, I tell people Beijing has 2 seasons, hot and cold. And it goes cold, colder, coldest, and hot, hotter, hottest. And I didn't get that into my poem yet. But what's interesting is Jackie emailed, I got an email from him last night when I was working on this, and that's exactly what he said. So when I finish this, I'll have to send it to him. And then today, on my way here, I decided to stop at the post office and see if I had any mail. And I haven't even opened it yet, but, and I gave some references. The definition for season, you can go to dictionary.com, and for the reasons, search reasons for seasons. It was a lot of fun. In fact, I brought this, made a copy of it in color. This is why we have seasons, okay? It's because of the tilt of the earth. And then coming from
But in some countries, the earth doesn't tilt.
Some parts of the world, yes. But anyway, I stopped, and this is my first Christmas card that I've received, and my friend has a stamp that says Jesus is the reason for the season, which I thought was really interesting because along with the scientific part, they did have, reasons for seasons, and that was one that was in they had a lot of things. So if you want to check that out, you can. So, and this, you weren't here last time, were you? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are mine from last time.
Well, you've got
And then
some
aside-
good rhyming scheme going on.
Thank you.
here.
I worked very hard at that, so thank you for noting.
So that's the same as what I just got.
Oh, maybe I gave you a wrong page. Which one?
The one you just read.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong pile.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Patricia, like you, I've lived abroad, Mary Ann has too, and Joe has
Yeah.
too, and several others. And I lived in a place in Malaysia, in Southeast Asia, where there were no seasons as we know them. There was no fall season, there was no spring season. It was always green, it was always rainy.
Yeah.
It's
But they
always
had
hot.
seasons. They had the monsoon season,
Yeah.
the rainy season, and but it was. I began to miss the seasons, and it was one of the things that I
Yeah.
pined for when I was there. I wanted to have the cold come and the spring flowers. And always could grow orchids all year long in Malaysia. You know, you could always
But you
read
can't grow
Indonesia, too.
daffodils
daffodils.
unless you put them in your refrigerator first.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they have to be chilled to trigger the blooming mechanism in them.
Well, for me, it was missing autumn. I love autumn here in Athens County. I just think it's gorgeous. And this is my first autumn back, and it was too short. Way, way, way too short. I was looking forward to all the colors and, love it.
Your poem made me want to know more about Beijing in
Yeah.
the winter. Yeah.
Oh, it goes clear
Because
to
most
your
of us
bone.
have not been there.
Yeah.
It's not an easy place to travel to for the average. So that was what piqued my curiosity the most, yeah.
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 Well, I do want to add about Beijing only has 2 seasons, and I don't know how that's going to develop. But
Yeah.
we'll see. But it does. It is so cold, and then I tell people, please don't tell me the temperature, because they talk in Celsius, and when you hear the temperature in Celsius, it sounds colder,
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
much colder. So it's very much a psychological thing
That's a
too.
good.
Yeah.
It's a good topic, Patricia. We'll be interested to see where you go with it. You're going to continue. So
Yeah.
you've got a lot to work with here.
Mhm.
I'll be interested to see how it comes together too.
Well,
Hopefully
your
this will
version
be
too.
my topic, for next time. And I want to include, Jackie's comment, which I did, but also this is from Larry, so 62, 64. Aww.
Since we're dealing with memory, this is an attempt to refine, define, clarify memories for my wife and I as we decline in our memory. So we talk about some of this again, but also to define it for our family who don't know some of what is being shared. And I have to admit that it's selectively shared, but it's an expansion upon anything that our children or relatives know. So it's creating a memory as well. And it's coming from a season in our life when we want to extend it as a memory in print. So with that, this is chapter 3, and where's this going to go? Coming here, I apologize, because I'm using you as the drive that gets me to do this.
No, that's not.
This was composed after midnight and before now, but it's still in composition. So that's where we are. So it all starts the same, so it's basically, but this is dating period. During our 1962 pre-dating days, we were apart nearly always. As Mary worked in Kansas City, that's in Missouri, and Larry in Independence, but they do touch each other, but they were apart. Except when it's Sunday school, church, lunch, and games. Mary Tracy was president of Trinity Methodist Young Adult Singles that went out to lunch together after church to mingle, followed by co-ed flag football or a softball game that involved timeouts for refreshments and conversations. Then, there were special occasions like at Mary's for Thanksgiving dinner, or playing basketball with the teens at the Kansas City Juvenile Delinquency Center. When leaving, Larry offered Mary a ride home and a hot chocolate. We stopped at a restaurant on the Country Club Plaza Mall. Our dating days got off to a bust on that first date. Larry's complaint about 50 cents per cup cost didn't appear first rate. This negatively impressed Mary regarding his attitude towards money. It looked like we might never think or speak of us becoming a honey. However, there were qualities that we each had that attracted us. Mary had personality, energy, enthusiasm, skills, good dress, and looks. Larry had right clothes, build, profession, morals, habits, and books. In high school, Mary composed her list of desired husband qualities that, fortunately for Larry, he met them to a T. And I never knew
Did
about
Mary
that.
know that?
I never knew about this list until recently. Why did she withhold it? I don't know. But she actually composed it, and her teacher
And is she still
suggested it.
checking all the same boxes? After all these years?
I guess, well, I've met the list, she tells me. I've never seen the list, but these are a part of that list. Larry continues to take Mary out to classical places, like the Kansas City Nelson Art Gallery parking lot, to talk and enjoy the moon. Was this another one of his cheap dates, or a great place to spend it? In 1963, we agreed to split up to test the strength of our relationship. So Mary moved 50 miles away to attend college, where, to Larry's consternation, a Frenchman started dating her there. Well, this competition inspired Larry to reconnect and visit Mary at her dorm, which became our new connection point as our norm. Then, on one warm 1964 spring evening, it became clear to Larry that it was time for the two of us to marry. Thus, he pulled out his handmade plastic ring with LJ initials on top for her to see, and asked that most important question: will you marry me?
Aw, that's sweet.
What did she say?
Did she wear it?
Well, we
Celebrating
suspect, yeah, we
life.
suspect what the answer is.
That's next. I don't know what the next one was. But she was rather speechless and didn't say on that day.
See, I knew it was this Mary girl. She's gonna make you sweat a little, right?
Yeah,
I better
check out
not
that
get
ring.
it.
Did she wear the ring?
She did for a short while, and in fact, she was really remorseful. She had lost it. Well, there's many things in her house that are lost, but it has been refound. So on this 50th, this is a year of refining stuff, memories and things. So it was a little ring. I think I made it when I was in high school. And it was like in a shop class, and I was doing a plastic thing. And it turned out to be a ring. So
Good run.
I wasn't prepared for this engagement, so that was
And the
the
Frenchman
best.
was lurking.
And my cheapskate way of living was there again. So that's the story. So this story will continue, and I hope to not bore you totally for it, but
No.
How long were you
I think it's
engaged,
good.
Larry? Yeah.
how long? This, Mary told me, the ring came in June, and we were married in August.
That's pretty good.
So she
So-
must have liked it.
Wow.
Once we made the commitment, it was
Yeah.
do it.
Wow,
I
that's
reckon.
tremendous.
So this, together, apart, we decided not to be again apart.
Okay,
So,
that's good. It's really better if it's not smooth. Truly.
yeah, we put it to the maximum test to see if this was right.
Yeah. 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 Those hurdles you have to overcome. Although they drive you crazy.
Can we capture you?
Yes, this is,
Sorry.
First
Bad
three
business.
times.
But you
So
can look.
permission granted?
did we use another?
Okay,
Yep,
I like
we're
how-
fine, we're fine.
we're good.
Yeah, that's the longest
Come
poem
in,
I've never heard.
Here's a word I've never seen before.
come into my parlor. Some think I'm what they call a hoarder. Indeed, they rudely say I border on the edge of nincompoophead. Sorry about that. My motives, never understood, are to prepare for the unforeseen. The grass won't always be so green. I might well need that sequined star tucked behind the samovar. Who's to say that stuffed moose head over there on the rattan bed won't come in handy some far day when someone needs it for a play, and the same may go for the bust of Liszt, or the hand-cranked mill for grinding grist from corn, or all those magazines, or the stack of records, the jar of beans. I'll ride that bike again someday, and someday the clock again will chime. I'll ride that bike again sometime,
Yeah.
and someday that clock again will chime. And the bowls of food for a dog long dead may be used for a cat instead. I see from your stack of trash out there, you're throwing out a broken chair. I'll take it home if you don't mind. I'm confident that I will find books to replace the missing leg, or I could use that dented keg that once held Pabst Blue Ribbon beer, so I'll carry it home from here. And that came about, I've got a whatever it is, on my computer called Noodling. And every time when I come up with ideas, little couplets or just interesting thoughts, I put it in there. And sometimes I go through there. And the tucked behind the samovar was there. For who knows where that came from? I have no idea. And there was one other thing in there that was in that noodling thing. And so I thought, well, let's carry on from here and see what we can do. So that's what I did this morning.
Oh, this morning.
This morning. I'm working on a couple other things, but they all need a lot more work. So I thought, well, why not? And I have been reading the poems by whatever her name is. And there's one called, where she goes, I reject, and I reject, and I reject. I think it's I reject. No, I prefer, is what she says. And it's a Liszt poem, and I think Liszt poems can be fun. And this is sort of a Liszt poem of all the things that are stacked up in my, wherever they are.
Another good session. We get better and better, don't we?
And if anybody has any questions, you all have to ask us.